What's up, guys? Run a bunch here. Welcome back to another installment of my sports show. Wednesday went pretty well. Received once again a lot of support. Was very happy to see that, and we're back here. It's going to be our first weekend show, and I'm very excited to get right into it. I'm expecting today to be a little bit different. Not as much, introduction stuff. Stuff like that. I am looking more towards just recapping what we did Wednesday, what went right, and what went wrong. And then we are going to look towards this weekend. I have all kinds of picks ready. I have basketball, I have hockey, I have soccer, and then I even have one FCS football pick. So let's get into it. So Wednesday, first off, I had Chattanooga plus 3.5 against Mercer. And this is what we call in the industry a bad beat, which basically implies that things were going our way and then went terribly wrong, which Chattanooga had a lead for pretty much, I want to say like 38 minutes of the game. And they ended up giving up the lead in the last 2 minutes, and the game ended up going to overtime. And Mercer looked really good towards the end, so I was a little scared about overtime, and it ended up that they won by 4 points, which means that, we're a point off from covering. So that one kind of sucked. You just got to take those on the chin and just move forward. Doesn't necessarily mean we were wrong. We were pretty accurate in terms of the point spread. It just went a half point the wrong direction. So moving on. I wanted to start a lock of the day. That's kind of a thing I want to happen, throughout the show. I think it'll be kind of fun to, stress myself about, which pick is the best pick. And Wednesday, I went with Incarnate Word 1.5 against Lamar. And I said Lamar needed to prove me wrong if they could get a road win. Well, I didn't expect Incarnate Word to shoot under 30% from the field in the first half. So, you kind of just have to, like I said, take that on the chin. And, Lamar did end up proving me wrong. So we had a tough start to the day, 0-2 because of that. But we kind of bounced back a little bit. Mississippi State, like I predicted, did end up destroying South Carolina. South Carolina is definitely down right now, which I have later in the show, kind of looking at them again this weekend. The Bulls looked very good, moving on to NBA. And they actually almost choked it away to the Timberwolves. I was kind of scared going into the fourth quarter. The game was tied at one point with about, I want to say like 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game. And it ended up going to overtime, but they managed to cover in overtime because of free throws and bad play down the stretch by a very bad Timberwolves team. So, it was still an accurate pick. It kind of went back and forth, but it worked out for us. So that one was pretty nice. And then, Alabama, Arkansas, I kind of made a pick on. I wasn't super confident with this one, and I think I said that Wednesday. But, I kind of made a pick just for the sake of the show. And I really felt good about Alabama +2. But Arkansas showed some real poise in terms of, being a home team and just showing up. Alabama didn't really show up until the second half, and I think being down at halftime, it kind of hurt them. And down the stretch, the game got ugly. There was multiple technicals, and Arkansas kind of just ran away with it. And it kind of makes me question Alabama a little bit, but I still think they're a very, very good team. I think they'll still end up being a 2 or 3 seed come the end of March. But just a road win that they couldn't quite get. So just got to move on. So my last game of the night was kind of something I didn't really expect to work out for us. I kind of just wanted to pick an under for the sake of the show, and I went with the Lakers Jazz, and I didn't expect the Jazz to absolutely blow the Lakers out. I figure a LeBron-led team would not really get blown out, but LeBron still put up his stats here and there, but the rest of the team did not really come through. So that was a big blowout, and they actually covered the under by 18 or 20 points. I don't even know if the Lakers didn't even score 90, so it really worked out for us. So we ended up being 3-3 on the day, which isn't really great in my standards. I'd like to get at least that 4-2, but with the Chattanooga game, we really should have been 4-2. It kind of just went the wrong way in terms of the half point. So, I mean, 3-3 really secretly. I mean, theoretically 4-2, but you just, like I said, take it on the chin and move on. So we got some exciting picks coming this weekend. Actually, I'm going to move in. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my football pick first, just to get it out of the way. Originally, looking earlier this week after the show Wednesday, I had really been up on Jackson State. They had a -11.5 spread, but for some reason, DraftKings, FanDuel, no one really had this game this weekend that they played against Missouri Valley State. For some reason, I think because everyone was probably going to be on Jackson State because I think the hype is there, they, for some reason, took the odds away or didn't have this game up on their site. Maybe it wasn't really going to be a moneymaker, so they decided that everyone was going to go pick Jackson State, so they took it off. So I actually had to change my pick. I went this morning and changed it to North Dakota State -16.5 versus Southern Illinois. And my reasoning for this, North Dakota State has been an absolute FCS dynasty. If you know nothing about FCS football, learn about North Dakota State. North Dakota State, which is weird because, I mean, in most major sports, it seems like the big name cities are the ones that, get all these recruits and all these, but that's not necessarily the case in the FCS. North Dakota, South Dakota teams tend to rule this division, so it's kind of interesting. And North Dakota State has produced a lot of talent in the past years. Carson Wentz, who has been NFL quarterback now for 5 or 6 years. They have another quarterback prospect coming out of there. Trey Lance is supposed to be a top 10 pick. They've had some other guys as well. But, it just seems to me this team has won a lot. And they have a new coach this year. The last coach they had left to go coach at Kansas State, and that program's already been turned around. And they hire from within. So I have a lot of confidence in the fact that I'm believing in North Dakota State. They're the clear favorite this year. I think because Trey Lance is the prospect and he's leaving, I think there's some value on this number. I really think they're going to blow out Southern Illinois, but I think the -16.5, I think it really should be about 3 touchdowns, but they're given some leeway, I think, in terms of the new coaching staff and the new quarterback. I think they'll be just fine. Southern Illinois, if you want to prove me wrong on this, go ahead. But, going on the road, I think they're already 2-0 on the season, and I just have a really good feeling about them. So that's my football pick for this weekend. That game is tomorrow. And I had some requests on my Instagram for some soccer picks this weekend. Shout out to Jose. And I kind of wanted to do this anyways. I had planned on doing this, but it helps to have some, people want this. So I went through, and I will say soccer is not necessarily my strong point, but I have some good feelings about some teams that have been consistently decent throughout this pandemic. So my first game for tomorrow is, I think it's Lazio. I'm not really sure how you say it. Italians are, I don't necessarily understand Italian, but we're gonna try. I have them going money line this weekend. I like them. They've been fairly consistent throughout the pandemic. They win games. They don't just tie games or lose games. A lot of teams tie a lot, and this team has kind of avoided that. They have actually just outright won games. So I trust them money line here. You could go draw no bet, which is basically meaning that if there is a tie, then you just get your money back. It's a void bet. You could do that, but there's not nearly as much value on it. I actually got them at plus 100, so that means that I literally get double what I bet. The number's probably gone a little bit, the odds are probably a little bit less now. That tends to happen with soccer. I think as people were realizing that this number was the way it was, I think people probably really hit on them. So I would hurry up and go get that for tomorrow as quickly as you can. The other game I have for tomorrow is Sevilla or tie, which basically means I have them at draw, double chance. Sorry, not draw no bet. Double chance, which is basically them either winning outright or tying. against Barcelona. This could be an unpopular pick, but both those teams have been very good this year. But I don't really have faith in Barcelona this weekend. I think that Sevilla has been the better team overall, and they're at home. So, I just feel good about that, especially with the double chance. I think there's some value there. So, yeah. Moving on, I have a game for Sunday morning. This is going over to the Bundesliga League. I have FCS Union Berlin. I have them tie no bet versus TSG Hoffenheim. And this is basically the tie no bet. I just feel good because TSG is just a straight up inferior team. Union Berlin's been pretty solid this winter, and they've kind of hit I wouldn't really call it a hot streak, but they've improved. So that's something to definitely consider for this game. So moving on, I have one hockey pick for this weekend. The hockey lines haven't really been up for this weekend, so it's kind of hard to make picks in advance. So my pick is for tonight. This may be unpopular, but I have the Rangers plus 1.5 or the underdog money line versus Bruins. You can kind of go either way. I've taken both, just in case they don't end up winning and they hit that plus 1.5. I'd still make my money back. The Bruins tend to play teams close, and tonight 4 or 5 of their not necessarily like star players or starters, but their depth players are hurt or aren't playing due to like rest and stuff. So I feel like they're a little bit depleted. The Rangers star player has had some kind of political issues with Russia and whatnot, so he's not playing. So I think there's a lot of value for the Rangers right now because no one really expects them to win without him. But I think they will. So take that how you will. So moving on to my basketball picks, I have 4 for this evening, and then I have a few games to look at for tomorrow. I'm going to go through these kind of quickly because I want to keep this video fairly short. So my lock of the day is going to be Grand Canyon -6 at Seattle. Grand Canyon is 11-3 against the spread, and they're undefeated on the road this season so far at 4-0. They've taken care of business all season. They've been beating teams left and right by decent margins, and I expect them to do that here. Also, if you get a chance after this video, go look up the Grand Canyon student section sometime. They are livid. This is obviously before COVID, but in past seasons, they are lit. So go look up some videos of what they do. They're pretty cool. My next game is Richmond plus 4.5 at St. Louis. Both these teams are kind of inching towards the bubble of March Madness, which means they're kind of on the outside looking in. And I think both teams are going to want to put on a big win here to try to impress the March Madness committee. So I like the 4.5 line because I think Richmond's going to keep this game really close. I don't know if they'll win, so I don't really like the money line. And Richmond's been kind of flaky in terms of going on the road and winning games. But I do think they'll keep it close enough within 2 or 3. So I think there's some value with the 4.5. I think St. Louis has won a few lucky games lately, so I think there's a little bit more of the line going towards them. So keep an eye on that one. Moving on to the NBA tonight, I like the Pacers plus 2.5 at Celtics. The Pacers have won their last 3 road games, and the Celtics have actually lost 4 of their last 5 games overall. So for me, I think the Celtics need to actually prove that they can figure this out and get out of this rough patch they're going through before I start betting on them. And I think the Pacers are playing really well. They're the 4th seed right now in the East, despite being just 500. And I think the East is fairly weak this year, but I think the Pacers are a decent team out of the East. So I like them tonight. And then I have the Trailblazers plus 5 at the Lakers. Now, this is probably my least favorite pick of the night, but I'm going with this just because the Lakers got blown out the other night by the Jazz, even though the Jazz are a much better team than the Blazers. The Lakers are just playing so poorly without Anthony Davis. I can't trust that roster besides LeBron to really do anything. And currently on the season, they're 14-19 against the spread. The Blazers are a little bit better against the spread. They're like 17-15. In the NBA, a little bit, you kind of have to ignore the spread somewhat, like the records, because a lot of teams are fairly at 500, unless a team's really good or really bad. And I think the Lakers are a little bit on the worse side. So I don't think the Blazers necessarily win this game, but I think they cover the spread because they're a decent cover team. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. And to kind of just wrap up the basketball talk and my picks in general, some games to look at for tomorrow. In terms of college basketball, I really like Oklahoma and Alabama to have bounce back games. Oklahoma got upset Tuesday night to lose the second overall place in the Big 12 to West Virginia, and I think they're gonna have a nice bounce back game this weekend. They play Oklahoma State at home, and I think Oklahoma at home is not gonna allow Oklahoma State to beat them for back-to-back losses. And I also like Alabama to have a bounce back win this weekend as well, as I think they kind of got gypped in that last game Wednesday. So I think they're gonna have a nice game tomorrow night. More teams, I like Baylor, Texas, and Illinois to get road wins. Texas Tech's been on a slump, and Kansas is playing against Baylor, and I think Baylor beats them on the road. I think it'll be close. Watch the spread number for that. I think anything over 4 or 5 in favor of Baylor, you should probably start looking at Kansas to cover that, because Kansas always plays well at home. Allen Fieldhouse, they always come to play. And Illinois, I think, has been kind of in a rough stretch, but I think they're going to get out of it in time for the tournament. So just look for them to get a road win as well. And finally, the NBA. Tomorrow, I like the Nets, the Sixers, and the Jazz to cover. Right now, they don't have the spreads up for this weekend for the NBA as well. But as long as those are single-digit spreads, anything under 10, I really like those teams. I think those teams are really hot right now, and they're just blowing people out. They kind of play inferior teams. I think the 76ers play, off the top of my head, I want to say they play the Kings or something. It's just some teams that have been kind of spotty this season, and I think going on the road, I don't trust them to keep it close. So I definitely like those 3 teams to get some blowouts tomorrow night. So yeah, I wanted to keep this show a little bit shorter than what the last one was. We skipped the introductions and stuff. I want to keep it under 20 minutes. So I think we accomplished that. And, I'm going to have in the description my picks and where they're at in terms of the video. So if you think I went a little bit too fast today, which I was trying to rush all these picks. I wanted to make 10 or 12 picks for a weekend because I'm not going to have a show at least until next Monday or Tuesday. So I wanted to make sure you guys had plenty of picks for this weekend. So I kind of rushed through them a little bit. The explanations are there though, so I'll definitely have in the description a list of my picks and where they're at in terms of basketball, hockey, soccer, football in the part of the video. So definitely keep an eye out for those. 3-3 on Wednesday, not great, not bad, but I definitely feel really good this weekend. I think we're gonna have an over 500 record for sure. With 10 or 12 picks, I don't expect us to go undefeated. That's pretty unlikely. So, but something like 8-4 or 7-5, 9-3, somewhere in there, I'd be pretty happy. So, I appreciate you guys listening to me. The first episode had a ton of support, and we had about, I think, 35 views within the first day and a half, which is really a lot for a first video on YouTube. I was very impressed by those numbers, and just subscribe and definitely hit the notification bell for more upcoming videos. I plan on doing 2 or 3 a week. As we do this, I'm definitely gonna get more of a concrete schedule of when I'm gonna release these. Right now, I'm kind of liking around the 3 to 5 p.m. range of when I'm gonna actually post them. So I'm recording a little bit earlier in the day just to kind of get it out of the way. But yeah, guys, continue just to show some support. I work really hard to get these picks. I definitely, search around for hours just to find some winners. So, hopefully it works out today a little bit better than Wednesday. Once again, not great, not bad on Wednesday. 3-3. You can't really complain. Career 53% better sitting here. So, I'm just trying to give you guys some picks. I'm not going to guarantee that you win money off these. But, if you bet them smart and you bet on your own style, I think there are definitely some winners in this lineup. So once again, this has been Run a Bunch Sports Show, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Till next time, cue the outro.